Hey guys! Welcome to Couple. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. All sorts of melodramatic language has been deployed to describe Donald Trump's presidency over the last couple of years. It's a treasonous conspiracy to undermine American democracy and install a puppet regime controlled by our enemies. It's a slow-motion fascist coup, seeking to undo civil rights and cultural diversity and institute a white supremacist theocracy. What if it was never anything quite so grandiose? Now that the Trump regime is beginning to crack and crumble one piece at a time, and without the satisfying, cathartic crash so many people have longed for since the fall of 2016, it looks a lot like something more familiar, a second-rate mob drama. There's nothing original about this metaphor, which quite likely isn't even a metaphor. It's been there all along. Pulitzer-winning reporter David Cay Johnston, who has followed Donald Trump's career for 4 decades, has written extensively about Trump's longtime connections to organized crime, as have numerous other journalists, including Salon's Heather Digby Parton. Those connections clearly go back to Trump's early days of doing shifty deals in the bottomed-out market of 1970s Manhattan real estate, where the only way to build anything, buy anything, or make anything happen was to work with the made men and their allies. Investigative reporter Craig Unger's new book House of Trump, House of Putin, which does indeed allege a sinister relationship between the Russian president and our own, and endorses the theory that embarrassing sexual compromise plays a role, largely traces the link through Trump's Byzantine business empire and his dealings with the Russian mob. Unger's case is complicated and a lot of it is circumstantial. He believes, for example, that Trump was a person of interest to Russian intelligence clear back to the Soviet period. His contention that the Russian crime lords and oligarchs who began arriving in New York in the 80s used real estate in Trump Tower and other Trump properties as vehicles for money laundering, and that this arrangement was more than mere coincidence or convenience, is pretty convincing. Of course, the mob boss analogy exploded back into the headlines this week, after Paul Manafort's conviction on 8 charges of financial fraud, entirely unrelated to his work for Trump, in fairness, and Michael Cohen's plea bargain admission that he had orchestrated payments to the president's alleged former lovers, or 2 of them, anyway, in a blatant end-around of campaign finance laws. As the New York Times observed in a front-page article as usual, after everyone else had said the same thing, Trump's embittered responses about who had been a rat and who hadn't, and whether flipping to cooperate with prosecutors ought to be illegal, seemed straight out of the mobbed-up New York of 1980s Hollywood movies. I can even say it was startling to encounter the President of the United States talking, or tweeting, like some Goomba 2 notches below John Gotti holding forth in a Queens Boulevard diner. Can you? It should be obvious by now that this is a person with no perception of boundaries, so massively narcissistic that he either doesn't notice or doesn't care what people from the more respectable quadrants of society think of him. Indeed, Trump's ability to shock the bourgeoisie, to use that term very loosely, is an important aspect of his supposed mass appeal. Just as his fans celebrate his shameless vulgarity, I think they also love his evident criminality, which may bespeak profound cynicism not just about politics but about human nature.